Hello and welcome back to Abs Talks, but after the most explosive episode in football content history, I have gathered my brothers here.
Brothers.
Yeah, my brothers, yeah. Not
Brothers,
on that
yeah.
episode, but this is basically us decompressing, calming down, not trying to kill each other. Because I'll be honest, for the last week or so, I've wanted to bang these got two in the face.
Yeah, I think we were close to.
No, we were close to.
You two definitely
Bro,
were.
the one time I sent a vein come out of here, I've never seen come out of Leo a vein like this. And what, brother, the guy collapsed, by the way. You know he collapsed in the ball.
I had to go gym.
Yeah. PB that day.
Yeah?
PB.
I hit a PB that day.
Yeah, 100%. I thought about the podcast today, I hit a PB.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is the thought of it alone.
Yeah, just the thought of it.
So that was how explosive the SDS podcast episode was. If you haven't watched it already, what are you doing? You have to go and watch that episode. But this is our opportunity now to just, after the brothers hit PBs, I've gone for a 5k run. That's how I deal with things. Not going to the gym. But this is our opportunity to decompress. Tell you guys what we think. That's the first portion of this video. It's going to be us telling you what we think, what our stances are, and in the second part of it is going to be our disagreements and why we don't see eye to eye on some huge topics regarding Manchester United. Before we get into that, lads, Matheus Cunha, we've had two Ornstein bombers in the last hour or so about Matheus Cunha and him, Manchester United agreeing the deal and the structure of that deal with Wolverhampton Wanderers. Thoughts on that signing?
Let my manager cook. Simple. Wallahi, let my manager cook. It's crazy because I actually tweeted back in Jan when the January transfer window opened.
That tweet, go on, but that tweet, wow.
No, I tweeted clearly. I said Man United need to revert back to primarily buying top talents in the league, like we did back in the day with Sir Alex. I think we just need to revert to getting the best players in, like, I wouldn't necessarily say the bottom half teams, but necessarily like not necessarily bottom half teams. Sorry, teams where they're performing well.
The teams
on the come up, like the Brentfords, like the Wolves at times. You know, even Brighton. You know, going and grabbing their best players. Yeah. You know, and it's low risk to getting somebody from abroad because you know that they're already acclimatized to the league, and especially like players like Matheus Cunha, where you can see the quality week in, week out. Bringing in that type of quality it would drastically improve the team. I don't see why it wouldn't.
Them dealing with the intensity of the Premier League. There's no question with them dealing with the things that the Premier League throws
low
at
risk.
you. But if anything, you're platforming those players in better situations because they're going to be likely be in a more possession side compared to maybe a team that they come from.
Yeah, I've always been against, personally, not on a racismal thing, but Brazilians at Man United just doesn't work.
Yeah, I hear it. No, you're right.
So when I saw us linked with him, I was thinking, but then I thought Wolves scored over 10 goals this season or however many goals in a poor Wolves side. And I think he's got that confidence to play for Man United. Yeah. Reports apparently that he demands the number 10. I don't mind that. Come in and demand the number 10, bro. If you think you're good enough to play that role.
Did you mind it when it was Mason Mount? When he demanded
Yeah, but I was never a fan of that move from day one.
They only gave it to him because he looked like Beckham. Yeah. That's the only reason. That's the only reason.
Like the Mason Mount move would have made sense now. If we was to get him now, like, you know, in the system that Amorim's trying to play, if we were to go in for Mount in this month,
Ten Hag going didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. I looked at that and say, where does this guy even fit into our team?
But Ten Hag signings in general didn't make sense.
It didn't make sense. A lot of them didn't make sense.
So are you saying that Mason Mount could be going on a bit of a remontada under Amorim?
I think he could. I think he's one of those players that because there is a role for him, I don't see him being one of the first names to go out the door. Even though I'm not a big fan of Mason Mount, I do respect the fact that he has, you know,
qualities.
He has the qualities that could, you know, benefit this system. And we saw glimpses, especially against the game against Bilbao, where if he's playing at a good level, you know, he could definitely be useful. I'm not going to deny that. But can he be consistent? You know, is he going to be injury free? It's one of those questions. So we were yet to see. But Cunha and Mbeumo, if these are players if these are the first names that are coming through the door, then that's a good start. If that's another one, that's a good start. You know, again,
that front three alone changes our whole.
Well,
completely. Bro,
those three alone and a solid goalkeeper, we go up 10 positions.
It's that night and day.
Genuinely.
No, for certain,
literally night and day.
Genuinely.
It's the issues, and I was on Saturday Social a couple of weeks ago when I was mentioned about Cunha, and I was asked about 10 players that would move. And Cunha to Manchester United, like I said, just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the confidence, him playing in that left 10. He's someone that can pick up the ball in the pockets, score goals and create chances. Very complete profile, and he's also a maverick. So he can handle, I believe, that pressure of playing for Manchester United. And if he's demanding the number 10 shirt, you better be able to handle the pressure. 100%. Enough about Cunha though. It's a bit more of a delayed reflection on the Europa League final at the end of the season. For me, not much has changed from my stance, other than mellowed out, my first opening statement would be as this. I think it is possible. I am not so much against the idea of Amorim could be a middleman guy. I just don't believe he will ever succeed at Manchester United. And most managers since Alex Ferguson, there aren't really any that you could say have maybe put United in a better position than when they got in. Like that's how turbulent the last 12 years now has been for so far. He could be someone that might be able to, and Hussein was talking about this off camera, be able to change the direction. But for me, my certainty that I do have is that he won't be successful at United. And also, I am still hungry for blood. After the season, I still think heads must roll. And I do want us to touch on Ineos because we didn't speak about them in the podcast as well. But for me, I still feel that it needs to be pain and punishment and recompense for this disastrous season that Manchester United have had. But in terms of my thoughts regarding his system, I still think there are weaknesses in it. I still think that even if he does bring in players, the profiles and the positions and the areas in which he wants those players to play in aren't necessarily conducive with top high level football. In my calmness and since not going crazy on the pod, what I've been able to reflect upon is that this is someone that could allow us to be in a decent position and move the club on and give us that required reset that you two speak about so much, which I do agree upon, that Man United do need a reset. But I still believe that he has fallen to a level too low that is unacceptable at Manchester United, and therefore some kind of recompense is necessary. We'll go Hussein next by your opening statement.
My whole thing is, I think Liban touched on it but we've been saying this for years. This is how long this whole thing has been going on. Yeah. My United fans need a rebuild. We don't have the patience for a rebuild. I saw someone on my TikTok comments today say, "What do you mean we haven't rebuilt? How many players have we signed?" I said, "Bro, we're just building. We're not rebuilding. We just keep building
on poor foundations."
Exactly that. So the wage structure, it goes deeper than just the players. It's the wage structure. It's the dynamic amongst the group. It's the hierarchy. It's the culture around the club. Obviously, we spoke about in the podcast as well that I don't know if I trust Amorim. With this budget, I don't know if I trust him, or I don't know. Bringing a new manager, I potentially trust a new manager more. For me, Amorim said himself, and it's come to light since we've last had that discussion. It wasn't ideal for him to come mid-season, but it was probably a blessing that he came mid-season because he's changed stuff behind the scene potentially from his words. He's changed stuff in the culture behind the scenes, and you can't deny that with removing Rashford, for example. That's one big thing that every manager before him failed to do. Because Rashford, let's be honest, was a problem under Oli, was a problem even under Ten Hag. Right, so
at times
culturally,
brilliant.
Of course, but culturally, it was a problem. We've seen it now with Garnacho. Problem again under Ten Hag, problem under Amorim, and Amorim has resolved that problem. So I'm with you in that. There's nothing to say that he's 100% going to succeed at United. There's nothing to say that, right? It's faith, it's hope. It's faith, it's hope. Exactly. And even he knows that. He knows there's nothing he can show us right now to make us believe. He's just saying it's faith. It's just hope. I'm just going off what he's done previously, and I'm hoping he can replicate that. And it gives me the bit that gives me a bit of faith is that he's not changing. He's saying it's either my way or it's not. So if he can replicate what he's done at Sporting, if the ownership as well replicate, and we'll get onto this as well, replicate what he was allowed to do at Sporting, then I definitely believe if he doesn't succeed, he at least rips down a lot of stuff that a lot of people couldn't do. He takes out players, he takes out stuff in the culture around the club, he takes things out. He like you said, he sets us up for another manager to potentially come in and have a better platform to take over. Because this is where we are now. Where we are now, we need to go through this. That's that paying for our sin stuff. We've led up to a point now where we have no option but to rebuild, but to start from scratch, but to remove certain plagues within the club, and it's gonna hurt. And I don't know if it's gonna be a season or 2 seasons, but like I said, if it's not Amorim succeeding, I believe he can take us. He's building better foundations for the next manager potentially.
Now I agree with a lot of what Hussein said. I feel like me and Hussein are kind of on the same page, pretty much on the same page, I would say. Look, I know we had that little that episode was quite heated, and rightly so. But you have to understand the context of that was the day after the final. We finished 17th. We've lost to Tottenham in a European final. Of course, like if there is ever an episode to let your heads go, that's the episode. Do you know what I mean? That is the episode. That is the context is there for that to happen. But the thing I do want to get across to you and to everyone that has that opinion, I'm out. You're entitled to it. You know, I'm not here to tell you what you can and can't do. You know, if you are Amorim out, then you know that's your opinion, that's your stance, and you can stick to it. I'm not. Who am I to tell people what they can and can't do? I just don't think it's right. Again, I don't think it's wrong to criticize Amorim. I think, you know, it's reasonable. There's definitely room for I've criticized him. You know, I've criticised him this season. You can definitely criticise the fact that we finished 17th. There is definitely room for criticism. And there's also room for doubt. If you have doubts about Amorim, it's understandable.
He'd even understand it.
You know, he would understand it as well. You know, there's no reason. Of course, we finished 17th, so I understand the doubts. I understand the criticism. But for me to go as far as saying Amorim out, when this is by far nowhere near a true reflection on his capabilities as a manager, in my opinion. When you got this group of players who have failed the previous manager, Ten Hag, and then now you're going into this manager and they are performing in the exact same manner under this manager, you can't really use this as a way to, you know, assess the manager and his capabilities. And I understand you say you think tactically there's limits to how he plays football. I mean, there are definitely flaws. I'm not going to say there aren't flaws. I'll be lying if I said I didn't see any flaws. But however, we are using these group of players. Let's be honest, man, them bums.
Yeah, 100%.
That's the reality. They're bums, you know. So for me, I cannot fully judge this man's capabilities based on this group of players that are clearly are not his, and clearly he does not rate most of them himself. He's made that very, very clear publicly. He's made it very, very clear that he even said in front of Eriksen, Evans, and Lindelof, 3 people are going today. He's making it clear to the rest of them. Yeah, it doesn't stop there. Some of you lot are going to join them. You know, so the thing is, one angle that I feel like a lot of people are failing to look at is, what if Ineos brought him in and the plan was from day one to tear everything apart? Why have we not even considered that one part? Like, what if he was actually brought in to, first of all, the first step, first stage, first phase, tear everything apart, and then we start rebuilding? Because let's keep it real, bro. This cycle that we've been stuck in constantly over and over again, it's always been just plastering paper over the cracks. You know, we get 4 or 5 marquee signings or 2 big name signings, and we just think all our problems are going to be solved. When the reality is, like he mentioned, wage structure is poor, culture at the club is poor, too much player power, you know, owners, mismanagement from the owners, you know, the players not playing for the badge. You know, how many players can you really honestly say that are there in Manchester United really are willing to die week in and week out for that badge?
It's not young players.
It's only Bruno, really, truly. If you look at it, only Bruno, bro. And the ones that we had a couple of years ago were simply not good enough for Manchester United. Like the McTominay said. I know he's doing really well at Napoli and everyone's giving him praise and deservedly so. But again, McTominay for me wasn't good enough for Manchester United. Yeah. You know, two things can be right. He 100%. Can go off and do well. He can still be a good player, but I don't think... And it hurts to say that about him because I think he was one of those players that did die for the badge. He gave it 100%. It just... His 100%, unfortunately, wasn't good enough for Manchester United. Yeah. You know? A club like Napoli, I'm not saying that no disrespect to Napoli, but they're just not Manchester United. Yeah. We're keeping it real. Yeah, you know what I mean? So
definitely not way the same.
Yeah, so for me, that's just my opening. That's just where I stand. And, you know, I just want to give this manager a fair opportunity, you know, at doing things his way. That's what we brought him in for. We brought him in for him to do exactly what he did at Sporting at Manchester United. Let's give him the chance. Let's just give him that chance, and then we could judge next season. You know, I know you got that concern about why give him a budget, what has he done to earn the budget, but again, what if he was brought in to do this? To literally, you know, tear everything apart, and then start from just like he did at Sporting, you know. Yeah. And Dorgu for me is an example of that. I know Dorgu for me, I don't think he's a special player. I don't think there's anything special about Dorgu. I think he's a player that just does his job very well. Yeah. You know, he's been an improvement, I'd say, but he is the small piece of evidence that I have to know. Give him the right profile, there's improvement. No one can say that Dorgu hasn't made an improvement.
As in the coaching of Dorgu?
No, not necessarily just coaching. I just think his profile. I think him playing in that left wing back position sometimes on the right hand side. He's just he's given us something a bit better in those positions.
Had a good game in the final as well. Had probably his best game in the final.
So I think he's just small evidence of what we have. Give him more of those players in this position. And I'm not saying world class players. I'm just saying players that can do the roles that he's looking for. Effective players.
Yeah. This portion of this video all the niceties are aside. You feel like if someone says something that you disagree with, you let them know. With obviously within reason. I want to start with just because it was the perspective that you started with Ineos. Is the purpose? Could this possibly be a plan that Ineos go in and want to tear everything apart? First of all, I think that links quite nicely to speaking about Ineos, right? What they were doled up as and what they were presented to us as was the best in class. That's something we heard a lot. That's what we were told, right? We were told there's going to be the best in class, a group of people who have been experts amongst either different sporting fields or in football for them to be brought up and they're going to be resurrecting Manchester United. Regardless of that, this project that they want to go down with Manchester United, the issue with projects and processes at Manchester United is that more than any club in England, results aren't louder, especially losses are not louder than when it happens at Manchester United Football Club. And the losses that have been at the hand under this regime, because I even consider the end of Ten Hag era that in the league performances was horrendous, and they have a part to play in that. Obviously, they've been shifting and shuffling, trying to find who they've been shifting and shuffling for the best in class. If you get the best in class, usually you don't need to go try again. But they bought Dan Ashraf in, they got rid of him, and then all of a sudden now it's different people who are getting involved, and they still might be in the market for someone to deal with transfers. So it's a shit show upstairs.
100%.
So whether or not the plan is Amorim comes in and resets everything, the people who are giving Amorim those orders, those people, there should be doubts about them as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think they've proven that as well.
100%.
And it comes to, I come back to your point as well that you mentioned about is it more better decision to go in and giving money and budget to Amorim or going to a new manager? What would be the risk to reward ratio with it? For me, it's just about probability. And I think the best clubs should put their team, manager and ownership in the best, most probable chance to succeed. And I think even when you watch stuff like this, City are the standard for best club in Europe. I don't think it can be, especially in the Premier League, for how they are run as a football club. Anytime we get an insight into the way they do things, it is about how can we put Manchester United, or sorry, City in that case, giving them the best opportunity to succeed. Whether that be the best facilities, in which we don't have that, we haven't had that for years. Whether that be the best people in charge to sign players and get recruitment done over the line. Is that the best analysts, the best manager? Then it's the best players. Manchester United are so far behind in almost every single attribute. And when it comes down to the manager, I feel as though I look at the 7 months that he's been here. Dogu, I hear it. He is someone that's been brought in, but who's really improved and been coached and been platformed in a best position? I think Ahmad has. I think Ahmad was we all kind of knew what is Ten Hag thinking playing Anthony over Ahmad, and all you need to give give that kid a minute. So now I think it has to be the critical analysis of Amorim, and has he done enough? Because that's my question all the time. Managers have to earn transfer windows. You don't just give managers transfer windows. So the question at this point in time, obviously, and this is something that people said to me in my comments a lot. You're arguing about something that's not going to change. Yes, of course. He's going to be the manager. He's going to be the manager next season, and he'll be the manager for the future. The owner was just a couple of weeks ago, CK with Gary Neville telling us he's going to give him specialists. So we know that guy's there to stay. My thing is, at this point in time, what gives us the best probability for success? Giving a new manager budget and then chance for them to start their process, which process is tough to happen at Man United. There's going to be boos. There's going to be tough turbulence. There's going to be media pressure. All of those things. I don't know, what if we had to assess these 7 months under Amorim? I think it's a failure, and I don't think it's harsh to say it's a failure.
100%.
So if a manager has been given a 7-month audition period, if that's what the 7 months has been, he has failed in this audition, quite remarkably as well, in a way in which we speak about the lows of 12 years. I understand maybe the necessity to drop below the standard. Not this far. If it's a 10th place finish where United are trophyless, that's still catastrophic. And the world would be reacting as if it's catastrophic. But to finish as low as we did, and almost to feel like, I think we didn't get a win in our before the Aston Villa game, in our last 8 Premier League games. That's breaking records that I never ever thought would be broken. And we've been doing that for 12 years. But go on.
I think there's a few, I think we've got a bit of short-term memory loss when it comes to a few things.
Talk to me.
We bring in a new manager, right? Who's to say, firstly, he's going to be a good fit with the players? Who's to say, secondly, he's going to be a good fit with the press? Over 500 interviews for Amorim.
And he's done
excellent in that. So yes, he's failed. Sure. Yes, he's failed on the pitch. The coaching. On the pitch, he's failed 100%. But if you look at stuff he's done elsewhere, I still think Amorim is more of a Man United manager, for example, than Ten Hag was. I think he's more likely
What
to
do you mean by
succeed
man-
as a manager. I think his coaching style, I think the way he communicates,
personality.
I think his personality, I think he's more
I think that's
able.
important, by the way. I don't want to brush past that. That's
100%.
important. Like personality of a manager, the character.
Ten Hag used to use "huh" as a comma.
Yeah.
That was his comma. That was his
I
break.
think also with Ten Hag, bro. I think everyone used to criticize his interviews.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, but for
No, but
me,
it's a big thing.
It's you. People used to have a
use that as a
problem
stick to
as a
hit him
stick
with,
to
yeah,
hit him
yeah,
with
yeah,
how he handled the press,
That stick
the
you
how
can't
he,
use on Amorim.
you know, the transparency in terms of when he's speaking
Very
to
honest, he's
the
too
you know to the
honest,
public, when he's speaking in those press conferences, people felt that he wasn't being transparent enough.
Yeah.
That was the criticism.
Yeah,
towards
Yeah,
Ten
because
Hag,
we know what
you
we're seeing, and you're going and telling us, oh, they're trying their best and whatnot. No, they're not trying their best, Ten Hag.
Yeah.
They weren't. So
Yeah.
when someone comes out and tells you the honesty and tells you that, I think he's passed in that
Yeah.
aspect. So do I trust him more with a budget than a new manager? 100%. Because again, a new manager can come in and fail on more aspects. And then, firstly, we're also saying give them a budget. Bro, we don't have a big budget. So to come in as a new manager and we can't even back you that much. It's not a fair reflection on the manager. It's not a fair reflection on his system.
So
It's not
if you have that big question mark, is that an issue for Amorim then as well?
100%. But I think with Amorim, we know this is a long-term project. And this is something I also want to touch up on. I think a lot of people have used his sporting career as obviously like the catalyst as to why he could succeed at Man United. He got rid of 25 players in his first season at Sporting, right? It's well documented. Everyone talks about it. Subhanallah, wallah.
25
players is ridiculous.
I dare Ineos to try and give him that many players out. They can't. We can't get rid of 25 players.
we can't.
So immediately throw that out the window. I'm telling you now, set your expectations.
Wait, as a handcuff for Amorim.
100%.
But I'm saying there's minimum 10 people leaving.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Minimum.
But 6 of them are on a free. So like, or like they're ending their contracts, whatever. I wouldn't be surprised if either Højlund or Onana stay. Realistically, we know he wants them both gone. For example, Luke Shaw's going to stay, for example, probably, right? He's on big wages, whatever. These are people that I don't think he trusts that much. I don't think he wants them in the club.
But I think these are people that have been told to start looking for clubs.
Of course. But it's going to be hard to ship them, is my point.
Allegedly, he's told Garnacho, good luck.
Yeah, good luck, wallah.
And apparently he's told Onana.
What do you think about that?
Amazing.
Him telling Garnacho, because Garnacho is obviously someone that you believe is a superstar.
No, I don't.
Do you still think he could do unbelievably well at another club?
100%. He's gonna be one of those, exhibit H. You know,
Why did we
players.
sell
H?
I don't know where we are at this point,
Mm.
but he's like another exhibit of a player leaving Man United and going on to do well. He's got the qualities to be a very good player.
100%.
I just don't think, in terms of his personality and his attitude of over the past year or so, it hasn't been good. And I understand that it's rubbed people the wrong way, including myself. I don't like his attitude, but in terms of his potential and his talent of him being a good footballer, I've never questioned that.
This might be the best decision Amorim's made.
Yeah,
100%,
100%.
Garnacho getting out, I think that's the. But like, I'm applauding.
I mean, even the noise around Rashford to make that decision again, it's a big thing, bro.
Big thing.
To get rid of Rashford, he dropped Rashford and Garnacho, went to City, went to the Etihad and won. That was a big thing for me to say,
massive,
like he stamped his authority and then got the players on side.
Yeah,
like you're gonna win my way. I don't care. Our two best players, you drop them.
Let's be
But
real.
is his way acceptable? Like we've seen a back 5 for 7 months. My thing is this: if we see you were telling me the first game of every season is something that you get an indication of where the season's gonna go.
Have a gut
right?
feeling.
You get a gut feeling, right? If you go to, let's say we were at Old Trafford and we see this flat back 5 again, where it's defenders playing in those wing back areas. How does that make you feel?
Okay, but I think you're like, okay, but I think at the end of the day we're going too far ahead. I just think we got to start from this point onwards first.
Okay.
Yeah. So what are the solutions right now that we need to do? The first thing we need to do is do exactly what Amorim's doing. Get rid of players and bring new faces in. And I think your question in terms of Amorim and whether recruitment and whether you think he should be trusted with a 200 million, ultimately, bro, if a new manager was to come in, they need to evaluate these players. They need to actually have a look at this entire squad and feel like, okay, who are my players? Who can play my way? Who needs to move on? And we don't have time for that.
But you want the best
we
coaches
don't have time.
The best coaches come into a squad and they say, here are the qualities of this bad group. Here are the qualities of them. And here is a system that fits them best. Until I can play my system with my players. Maybe there's a transition period over it. But I'm saying the club hurting your team until you see who can and can't fit in your system is counterproductive.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah. why do you keep giving these players benefit of the doubt?
No,
I'm telling you, it doesn't matter who this manager, who the manager is. These players have shown you what their ceiling is. They've shown you what they're about.
Yeah.
They've shown you they are not capable of
about
playing for Manchester United.
I'm just talking
regardless
about
of who's in
I
charge.
actually agree.
Regardless of who's in
but I
charge.
agree. But I'm saying what the right move a coach should be making, and I still think there's players like me saying that doesn't mean I'm giving these players a buy.
Yeah.
I want. If we could go through our squad right now, I want these guys gone.
Yeah.
Like I want all of them gone.
Yeah.
Like 90% of these guys should be out of the door.
Yeah.
So I want these players gone, but I'm just talking about his moves in this, because it's all about sample size, and we spoke about this on the pod as well about why do I have such a sure opinion that he won't succeed at Man United. And it's based on the sample size of what we saw his best Sporting teams do, right? So my sample size that I have of him is that Sporting, the end of Sporting, what they look like, his best version of Sporting, and then what he's done in the first 7 months here. In the first 7 months here, he has not moved like a great coach. We can't deny that.
No, on the
Coaching
pitch.
wise,
On
just
the
coach.
pitch.
Do you think he's improved?
My point is, and this is why I feel like we're going in circles. My point is this. You're judging his football, you're judging his tactics, you're judging his philosophy based on this group of players. Like your judgment of him, is based on the group of players that he has at his disposal.
Not necessarily.
It is. I know you're gonna say to the peak of Sporting, but let's even put that to the side. Let's even put that to the side, because even that, let's be honest, not much of us really watched his entire. You can't say towards the end, because you have to actually, if you're gonna make a fair journey, you gotta see the whole journey.
I agree.
My thing is this: if we're gonna just solely speak on what he's done at Manchester United, we cannot. I feel like we cannot judge him properly because of the group of players that are at his disposal. Yeah.
Okay, but how do you judge a coach on the full pitch?
Okay, no, I'm saying you can have doubts.
Yeah.
You can criticize his football, but what I'm saying is to make a judgment where you've gone as far as to say Amorim out. I think that's wild. I think you need to, and I'll tell you why it's wild. Because
I'm not talking about the players that he has. I'm talking about his system and
yeah.
who he plays where.
Because he's
regardless of the person.
Yeah, but remember, the system is based on instructions, right? Yeah. And the players have to carry out those instructions. Yeah. So whatever's on display is based on how well those players are able to take those instructions and then carry out those roles.
Yeah.
We are relying on Xerxes, Højlund.
Not good enough players. Yeah, not good enough.
Not good enough players, I agree. Bro. And then on top of that, bro, and I'm even made sure to put this on the list, just to make it very, very clear.
Yeah.
Both are strikers. 7 league goals this season.
That's horrendous. It's horrendous.
You got the 2 number 10 positions. He's dealt with having Mount and Ahmad, probably 2 of the most closest profiles
to what he likes.
To what he likes in those fields, were out for a long period of time. So in those positions, he's had to again improvise. In that he's had to play people in those positions. Yeah. Wing backs non-existent. He's got Dorgu in January, and I don't even know if Dorgu's really his signing, or was a signing that something came available and he just took it. So let's just say 1 wing back. Yeah. Let's be 1 natural wing back. Yeah. And then in the midfielders, let's be honest, in the midfield, there's so much missed profiles in that midfield. Yeah. There's so many players. You've got Mainu, who's not really a double pivot type of midfielder. You got Ugarte, obviously, who's worked with before.
I disagree. I think Kobe can be, but not his kind of midfielder.
Not his type of midfielder, sure. But let's just say anyway, I feel like there's a lot of missed profiles in that midfield. So those are just, and that's not even the entire team. And then you got the goalkeeper, who's been absolutely disastrous. That is not. I believe he can't wait for him to see that. Well, I think he can't wait to see.
You know, it hurts him to come out and try to protect him.
Bro. I think he genuinely if he said the N word, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. It's that bad. It's not that bad, bro. So my point is though, look how many areas I've already touched on. Yeah. And then he's having to work with that to get these players to play his way. Yeah. I understand why after game 3 he said the storm. He clocked it. Yeah. He knew from training. He just looked at it and said, we're in big trouble. Wallahi.
Yeah. Cool. What's your reaction to that as a coach? Surely if you know the storm is coming, do you say, let the storm come? Or do you move the sails and you try and do something?
Now this is where I have a problem with you.
Talk to me.
Now this is where I have a problem with you.
Talk to me.
And I had a bit of problem with Lias. It's this. You even further back because you are still at Ollie Stam, who didn't have a style of play. Yeah, he's okay.
No, but it's emotion. That's emotion. They can't do that.
Let me tell you. So you still talk about to this day talk about Ollie football. You still talk about Ollie football. Let's be honest.
And it's that Newcastle clip. You know when they say Ollie football, it's the counter attack. Newcastle and Bruno scores.
But I'm saying, if we're really being honest, Ollie didn't have a style of play. He had more of a way of playing football, not a style. It was more like
it wasn't a system.
It wasn't a system. It's just get the ball to the final four and then express yourself. You know, use your initiative, use your improvisation.
Vertical football.
You know,
get into attacking positions.
and then get in your.
And then it's about the individual brilliance.
And that's it. Okay, but that's not really a style of play. We're keeping it honest. Yeah, it's not. But you're big on that.
Yeah, he didn't finish 17.
Okay, cool. But let's go to Ten Hag now.
Yeah.
You and Leos were big on no style of play. You need to see patterns of play. You need to see some sort of identity.
It's the same thing I'm asking.
He never had that. Yeah. He was more on the I'm gonna adapt. I'm gonna be pragmatic. I'm gonna look at the opponents, look at what I've got, and it worked to some degree. You know, it got him two trophies. You know,
one of games. Yeah.
A Champions League qualification, one of the season. It worked to some benefits, but in the long run, it was a sustaining man. It frustrated a lot of fans, and people didn't enjoy the football.
We turned into a cup team.
Yeah,
that's what he's good at. You can adapt.
Adapt, and that's why we won those cups. And you know, it could have been even 3 cups at one point. So
yes, because we FA Cup.
So it's like you had your criticism, and I thought, you know what? Well, but at that point, I said, you know what? I was like, you know what? Fair play. You know, let these man. They want to see a style.
Yeah.
I hear it, you know.
I still want to see that from Amorim.
So listen, but Amorim, hold on. But Amorim is coming. He's got a system. He has the style of play. It hasn't translated properly, fully on the pitch, but we know why. We can't act stupid and deny that it's the quality of the players at the moment. We can't deny that.
But my point is this.
But my point is,
why is it in the system? That's my problem.
My thing is this though. You can't go from saying criticizing the last manager for not having a style of play, and then when this manager decides I don't want to be pragmatic, I'm gonna stick to my style of football. I'm gonna stick to my philosophy. I stick
There's a
to my
TikTok
way.
that I made a while ago about him not sticking to his way enough. In terms of if you really want wingers as wing backs, which is what we were built to us as. But you see how
respectfully though, in terms of the wingers playing in the wing back position, we don't know what the hell he's seen in training. We don't know what he's experimented.
No, but
in
this is
training.
what I'm saying.
And
I can't question a manager and then say when I question him, you're telling me I can't see everything. I can only judge from the match day.
Okay, but that's my point. You're saying, why has he not played wingers in the wing back position? How do we not know he's tried it in training and just thought, God, this is not going to work. And maybe we're going to concede even more goals.
I can't make judgments based off what I don't know. I have to make it based on what I do know.
Okay, so let's judge on what he does, what we have seen. And what we have seen is
good.
It's not good enough.
It's not good.
And that's why for me, I'm on that
stance. Can I address the point that you made about the system here?
Yeah.
And my whether is my line of thinking with Ten Hag and gone to Amorim, and I'm going to come to you as well. Is it linear or not? My thing is about style of play and identity is very, very important in a football pitch because I can back a manager if I see something.
Yeah.
The worst part is Amorim.
But are we going to pretend and say we haven't seen anything though?
But I'm saying.
Have you seen something?
That was going to be my point.
No, but I've seen.
That was going to be.
Are we going to pretend and not say like we haven't seen something? Because we have seen it.
Yeah.
I can give you games where we've seen it.
Wait, okay.
I've seen something under 10 hard. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay. It's important, obviously, I know you said on the episode we were 4 points off top 4, whatever. We weren't. We were about 7 or 8 points off top 4. But
so that's a lie?
Yeah. We weren't 4 points off top 4. I think it's like, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I actually don't.
But
no, I think we were like 6 or 7 or 8. Anyways, whatever it is. How many points were available to us at that moment? I almost wish Ten Hag stayed a bit longer so you could just see that it wasn't going anywhere else. That it wasn't gonna get better because people.
Ten Hag was killing us.
No. But you know what people say? Oh, when he came in, Amorim was 4 points off top. Well, he wasn't because there was only certain amount of points available. In essence, if you're struggling to understand, maybe 14th could have been like 6 points off top 4.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Okay,
because not that many games have been played.
No, but the point stands.
The point still stands. Of course,
compared to where you end up being.
Yeah, you can still obviously grow and build on it.
At that point,
but it's not to say, of course, but
point.
it's not to say that if Ten Hag stayed, he would have taken us.
Possible.
We could have finished 17th under Ten Hag, by the way. Just so everyone knows, yeah. That's that aside, yeah. Are we forgetting Ten Hag ball? Are we forgetting where we were as a team, conceding over 20 shots a game?
Yeah.
Are we forgetting where we were? Where the midfield
was
forget about it. It was defense and attack. It was goalkeeper. You know, one-on-one baller league. That's what we were doing.
Yeah.
That's what we were doing.
Game
changer.
It was a +1.
Plus one. Wallah. So that was our whole game plan.
Yeah. Fast forward.
He used to. You know,
Fast forward. You can't go backwards.
So now used to spin it.
You can't go backwards. Wallah.
He used to spin it before the game.
I'm telling you, I'm telling you, bro.
We're going high.
Yeah, bro.
Don't stop.
I'm telling you.
So that was Ten Hag ball, yeah. It was baller league. It was baller league.
Well, I believe they play baller league.
So
they were doing
Amorim has come in. Okay, results aren't there.
Yeah.
But are you telling me, genuinely, watching Ten Hag early this season and watching Amorim this season, yeah, later Amorim, let's judge him over the past few games, whatever. We don't feel, but we don't feel a bit more in control, a bit more secure, a bit more. Listen to me. We're conceding less chances. We're in positions where we can create chances, but we got a donkey.
Yeah.
For example,
Well, he's right.
Football is a game of fine margins, bro. Go back to the Nottingham Forest game. Onana, by himself, by the way. Have goals.
Here you go.
Against Everton, have goals. Against whoever else, Tottenham, have goals. Whoever it is,
all the game, most of the games that we've lost as well. We've dropped
Can
points
I
into,
just answer the one sentence? We're gonna look more secure with 5 at the back. خصبا عندك. If you don't look more secure with 5 at the back, there's something wrong with
But
it.
is it 5? Is it 5? Because sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. But it changes.
On top of that, bro, like there's games where, let's be honest, we've created enough chances
to win a game,
and everything says we should have won that game.
XG says it, underlying numbers say, everything
the stats say it, the creating chances say it, the shots on goal say it. We just can't put.
But that was true under Ten Hag as well. Remember?
We conceded.
You told us about.
We conceded a lot more chances.
But you were telling us about how we missed the most chances in the league. That was a big issue.
By the way, last year under Ten Hag, the only thing that kept us, because remember people were saying the expected position was 14th. Moments of brilliance. Garnacho scoring screamers, Bruno scoring screamers. We had, because it was more fluid, whatever, going forward, the players had a bit more opportunity to score these screamers, and they were pulling that out. Bro, and sometimes we were in positions where like, we need a miracle. We need a miracle.
But I just get one thing that we all agree upon. Player quality is horrendous and is nowhere good enough.
Terrible.
And any coach would struggle to try and get something out of these guys, for sure.
100%.
No problem. I'm talking about...
Conte.
Yeah,
but then he gives you a year in dips.
That's not sustainable. Max 18 months. But what a coach, the job of a coach should be, when I walk into a dressing room, here is player A. He doesn't have a lot of quality, but this is his best quality. So I'm going to platform him in a system that makes most sense and do that for, out of 11 positions on a pitch, 6 out of 11. At least you do that, find a system that suits majority of them. And how does that get you results? It's almost felt as though Amorim saw it, and I agree with what you're saying. He looked at the training and he said, "Ya Hayyun Ya Qayyum, I don't think I can do this with these guys." But I'm saying, don't throw the club to the storm.
By the way, he tried to dip. You remember?
Bro,
and they spoke him out of it. That's how bad it was in training.
He's banging TVs. I'm probably on honor. So this is the problem that's happening. So he knows what's going on. It's bad. But I'm saying
the only place where we're really struggling is not like I don't think defensively we're bad. I think the defense is probably our only solace this season, in my opinion.
I've loved
our defense. Like Euro, De Ligt, Maguire, even Mazraoui at times. You know, Aiden. That's what I'm saying. Our defense is our only solace. And they've been doing their job. It's just the guys at the front. Please score. Please do something. Please do something. And they've been the biggest issue. Like, I don't think that, and the goalkeeper. The fact that we're not able to score goals and that we're conceding stupid goals,
it's fine margins, bro.
That's what it is, bro. You get a better goalkeeper, you get better attackers or better attacking options in those attacking positions, and I promise you, wallahi, this team looks complete. And I'm not even talking about the best of the best. I'm just saying competent players, bro. You get, bro. If you look at us, our attacking three. If you look at our attacking three, name me 5 clubs we got a better attack than.
What, Championship included?
Hoyland doesn't start for anyone.
Any team.
Even Southampton, he's fighting.
Yeah, any team.
Fighting?
He's fighting to start for Southampton, bro. No. He doesn't start for any Premier League club. At all. Other than you can maybe throw in Southampton. There's maybe a shout for Southampton.
But they'll play him left back.
I'm telling you, bro. He doesn't start for Ipswich.
Our number 9 is
who's Ipswich? Delap.
Delap. We want him.
West Ham. Jared Bowen to play down the way. He doesn't start for them.
Yeah.
Leicester. Jamie Vardy. He doesn't start ahead of Jamie Vardy. And who just left the club.
Yeah.
You look at Brighton. He doesn't start ahead
But
of
him
João
should-
Pedro.
Welbeck. Bring back
He
Welbeck.
would be at Brighton. He would be maybe 4th or 5th choice as a striker.
Yeah.
Hinshaw in the last game of the season is their right back. He played up top. He got like 2 goals and 3 assists or something crazy like that, bro. He's better than Holland number 9.
They got João Pedro. They got Danny.
I know. I'm talking about their right back. Played up
Look how
top.
many.
Evan Ferguson.
Evan Ferguson. He's probably 4th choice if he goes to Brighton.
Hinshaw is above him. He's 5th choice.
Bro, I could go
And even Leah's on. Why is he stuck with Højlund? Brother, who else do we have?
No, but my thing is, I agree with that point though.
Xerxes
If you
who else
know
do-
someone's
Xerxes
feeling
is injured and
okay,
well,
cool.
a 16-year-old,
No,
you're gonna tell him go.
He tried Kobe there, and that was him screaming out saying this is a problem.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Stick with
if
it.
you've thrown this club into the storm, then throw them into the storm properly. Or if you've bring on your system. But I think Amorim has been caught in between a rock and a hard place,
100%.
and he hasn't picked one. Do you know people talk about that phrase? Caught in between a rock and a hard place. Brother, sometimes get out of the hard place get out of the middle by going to one of them. Pick between the rock and the hard place. He hasn't picked between either. And
So that's
left
enough.
him.
But that's enough for you to then say.
No, that's only one. That's only one detail behind
Yeah.
it. My main thing is about what we talked about on the pod: profiles and where he likes players. You spoke about players who are listening to instructions. Harry Maguire is listening to the instruction of going and standing next to Casemiro in build-up play.
We're doing centre
and
back
get-
again.
Yeah,
Nah,
I'm just
I'm
saying.
joking.
I'm just-
It's mad. It's nuts.
But I'm seeing things tactically that limits him, and there's a ceiling with Amorim, and the fact that he wants dogs in midfield and he can't profile Kobe Mino.
did you see
these
this-
things are big points? By
did
the
you
way.
see this at
And
Sporting?
these things that we all agree.
Did you see this at Sporting?
I saw the fact that Ugarte was his guy.
No, did you see the centre back coming into
Yes,
midfield?
Diomande
and he
would
shot-
do it.
But,
Diomande would
but
do it.
why was it
No.
not? This is my point. Why was it not a red flag then?
It
That's-
was, but it
that's
was,
the-
but it's also you give someone a chance.
Okay, that was my first point. The
Yeah.
second point is, bro, Guardiola came in. Took him a year to adjust. Arteta took him a year to adjust. I'm just saying.
No, but these
I
guys
know
came and
you
they
sit
adapt.
down, Amorim.
Oh,
Yeah,
Arteta,
but you know-
okay, but you brought up Arteta now.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about, you mentioned earlier, have you seen improvements in Amorim
players.
tactically?
Even
Yes.
players, even
Not
players.
Tactically, I've seen
yeah,
improvement.
yeah.
Casemiro, at the beginning when Amorim was coming, Amorim was saying, I can't play with this guy, get him out of my team.
Yeah.
Because he
Ten Hag said it, everyone
can't,
said it.
he can't defend wide areas.
Yeah.
Then Amorim said, I need to check myself here. Let me tweak my system. And he changed it from just being a double pivot to Casemiro has to defend less area now. So Amorim, congratulations for that. That's good coaching. Well,
Yeah, but then you even
and
talk
I
about the
respect
wingers.
that
You talk
coaching.
about the wingers. You talk about the wingers at wing backs.
Yes.
That he's adapted that as well because clearly we can't do it. So
Yeah,
do you get it?
Can I say something as well? You know, every time you keep talking about his time at Sporting, sorry, my bad, again, pulling the wires. Every time you keep talking about Sporting, you say stuff like, "Oh, but he had Ugarte, bro." Yes, he had Ugarte, but that's one player, bro. At that Sporting team, he had players like João Pedro, who he brought into that team. Nuno Mendes, he brought into that team. Pedro Porro, he brought into that team.
Yeah.
Pedro Goncalves, he went and bought. Like, there's Gyökeres, he went and bought.
Yeah.
Like, why are we not giving him credit in terms of the squad that this sucks? The most successful side probably in Sporting's history at the moment. Yeah, he's literally built this squad. That squad brick by brick.
Nah, he has.
And everyone keeps reverting to, oh, but he had Ugarte. Like, what? Ugarte's one player at Sporting, bro.
No, but that's not what
Yes,
I'm saying.
okay, we're talking about him at Manchester United in his current team,
Yeah.
But let's not try to throw these little things that kind of cloud. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like we're nitpicking things to then pass our judgment on him as a manager at his time in Sporting and then now at Manchester United. For me, and then this is how I assess everything, bro. Him coming in to me was never up. This season especially was never about Amorim. It was always for me sink or swim situation for these players at this club. It was sink or swim because we as a football club decided this is the man that we're going to bring in. We knew what style of football he played. We knew his philosophy. We asked him to leave his club mid-season while they were first in the table, while they were in the Champions League, first in the table by a distance. We told him, scrap that, forget about that your league title, forget about making a charge in the Champions League, come to Manchester United. He said no. Can I come in the summer? We said no. It's now or never.
And that
so
trade doesn't come off.
we paid the compensation to get him in. We fought hard to get him into this club. Yeah. So that tells me that we decided that this is how Manchester United are gonna move forward. We said this guy is we're gonna play his football and his football is how we're gonna move forward from now and for however long at this point. Yeah. Why is 7 months with the same group of players? Yeah. Who we already knew weren't good enough, who showed you last season weren't good enough, and the last manager showed you another. Why are we using these players as the metric to judge this manager and then decide the fate of this manager? Who already failed the previous manager. To me, it's just not logical, bro. It's illogical. Like, for me, it was always, how many of these players can fit into the system? If you are not good enough to fit into the system, goodbye. Next group.
I disagree with that line of coaching, but if that is what is happening,
But that's temporary.
but
It's not. I'm not saying this is how it's gonna be for the next 5 years.
But this is a good segue. This is a good segue because we have spoken a lot about Amorim, and the reason why that's a great segue is because then it matters about who this ownership bring in and how soon they can bring in recruitment.
Yes.
So I think naturally the conversation, we didn't get a chance to speak about Ineos in the pod. We're not going to see eye to eye on Amorim in general. One last question. Do you think Amorim will succeed at Manchester United? Just as a yes or no, if I have to push you for one.
Faith will tell me yes.
Faith will tell you yes. Amorim, do you think he'll succeed? You don't know, but
I don't know, but
you're leaning towards.
But I'm backing him.
You're backing him.
That's the thing.
I want
That's
him
my
to
stance.
succeed.
Yeah, no,
My stance is not about whether I don't know.
Yeah.
And I keep saying this. And I said
know.
this last episode. I've said it online.
Yeah.
I don't know if
None of us.
The big thing with
I
Amorim,
don't know if he is. I don't know if he's gonna succeed. I don't know if he's the right man. But what I do know is this squad needs a rebuild.
Yeah, for sure.
And if there's one man that's going to do it, okay, who's shown that he's going to be stern, he's going to be direct, he's going to be honest, and he's going to be fixated on his plan, it's Amorim. And I don't want to, and that's why I don't want to divert away from him. Because I don't know if the next man is going to do that.
Yeah.
He might fall for the pressure.
Last point. If you're Amorim, my thing is, if you're Amorim out now, it doesn't make sense because he hasn't, in my opinion, and I'm sure in your opinion, he's not in a position to be judged yet.
Yeah.
Once he's fully in a position to be judged, and if you're Amorim out, then I 100% agree with you. The same way some people were Ten Hag out in the first season. There was Ten Hag out in the first season. It made no sense to me.
Yeah.
Then at the end they looked like geniuses, but you're still wrong. In that first season to be Ten Hag out, you were still wrong. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at this whole Amorim situation.
I think it's a bit different this situation.
No, of course. I'm just giving it as an example.
No, I do hear you. Yeah. I want you to start with Ineos.
See Ineos.
Yeah.
Do you know Fire Festival?
Yes. That's what that's to remind me. Wallahi, Ja Rule. Wallahi, billah talai, Ja Rule. Those here, those man.
Give me baby.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Those hips, those. That's him, wallahi. Wallahi, that's him.
Ineos on Fire Festival. I love it.
I'm telling you.
I sold everyone a dream, bro. It's the way they've managed this whole situation. From Amorim, again, you bring in a manager with a completely new system midway through the season. January, you just say, hey man, he's a Danish Italian youth, have him. I like Dorgo.
Danish Italian is crazy.
I like Dorgo.
He's black as well.
I like Dorgo.
He's just a mess.
It's mad.
You know he's just a mess. Pick a struggle. Pick a struggle.
Danish because of Faisal. Danish because of Faisal.
I'm black Italian.
I don't know.
You're black Italian. It's tough.
It's hard. That's a struggle.
That's a struggle.
That's the struggle. Yeah, exactly.
Goddamn.
So
it's not accepted anywhere.
Again.
It's crazy.
He can't get it
anywhere. Any community. He's forcing it.
No, my whole
big
thing
up
is...
Dogu though, we like him.
Yeah, big up Dogu. Patrick.
Patrick is his name.
Crazy. It's crazy. I'm trying to back him. I'm trying to back him. Patrick!
Hey, well, I need to have a word with him. I love Patrick.
Patrick! Thank you for bringing my son.
Okay, the summer. My thing is this, yeah? Amorim...
Can we go for a hit or miss with recruitment as well?
Yeah, of course. Amorim not succeeding. Again, if he doesn't succeed, I'm saying... I still wouldn't blame it solely on Amorim. I think Ineos would have a big part to play. Again, like I mentioned previously, he was allowed to clear out 25 players in his first season at Sporting, allowed to bring in as many as he needed. Ineos now...
mental level of faith, by the way.
100%. And they paid a release clause for him. They knew this is the guy. Ineos have basically done the same. But the where Ineos will fail is that they won't show the same amount of faith in him. They'll say...
That's what you're...
100%. I already know. So anyone who's expecting, by the way... Ineos madness this summer. We're gonna bring in Cunha and Mbeumo Delap. We're gonna goalkeeper. Forget about it. This is gonna take. I'm telling you now. This will take a year or two.
There's an indication of that already by the Cunha stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
In this one transfer that we're talking about now, the first one.
The one that's all wrapped up. Even Fabrizio said, "Here we go." Yeah. Man United said, "Nah."
Yeah, we're gonna test it.
We're gonna change it a little bit. We're gonna change it a little bit. You know, he's never failed the "Here we go." Man United said, "Yeah, watch this. Hold my popcorn, whatever. Hold my drink." Yeah, that one. So I think it's gonna take a year or two. Again, it's not how it should be. Ineos should be capable enough and competent enough to be able to, all right, you leave, you come in, you go, bro, reshape the whole squad. I don't have faith in them at all. I think this summer, I think a lot of us are excited because it's all we've looked forward to. We're just like, end the season, let's just get to the summer. I think this summer is also going to be a disappointment, unfortunately. I think we'll get in better players because you can't not. But
if you manage to get any worse than these,
I don't think Amorim's going to leave this summer saying, I got everyone that I wanted. He's even said it, bro. He's in Malaysia saying, we're gonna struggle a little bit this summer. The funds aren't completely there, but we're gonna try our best. So it's gonna be a bit tough in that sense.
Levi and Ineos.
Ineos, for me, have been fraudulent. That's the best word to use. I think since they've arrived, I think they've miscalculated a lot of things. I think they've got a lot of things wrong from last summer, starting all the way back from last summer. In terms of even their own recruitment in their own departments, they've got things wrong. It's been a bit. They've got off to the worst possible start you could ever get to at Manchester United. Like the fact that what's more impressive is that you outdone the last ownership. How?
The worst ownership in Premier League history.
Like you outdone them. I'm not even talking from a 70%. Just
no, but I'm saying disastrous. Because it comes from them as well.
Of course,
they've led to this situation.
And for me, it's.
United have never fallen to this depth before this ownership.
Nah, never. And I just think even the way we're handling things on and off the pitch, I just think it's a reflection on Ineos. It's really truly a reflection on Ineos. And I have a bit of hope where, I think the situation, because how bad the situation is now, that it's going to force them. Because I do believe that Ineos want to be successful. I think we do have to acknowledge that they are desperate to be successful. They do want to be successful.
Put money on the line.
Yeah, they're putting things on the line. They're cutting. We've got Sergio Ratcliffe literally cutting all types of businesses to fund Man United.
They can even lose their jobs,
bro. So making cuts. So the pressure is there for him to succeed, and it'll be wrong for us to say that they don't want to succeed. They do definitely want. I think they're desperate to succeed, but I just hope that desperation doesn't turn into foolishness, and making poor decision after poor decision and after poor decision, which they've already shown to do already. So for me, it's kind of like I have a hope that this summer, there is a plan. There is a strategy that maybe we have not just seen just yet, and the signs obviously with the Cunha deal, which I do think we will get that over the line. But the fact that we've already got talks with Cunha and Bremo Delap already, and it hasn't even been a week since the final. That shows that there is some sort of moves being made behind the scenes, and I just hope that because a lot of it does depend on whether or not we get players out. So I'm just hoping we shift players out and then hopefully have a better squad for next season. That's all I want. Yeah. I just want a better squad next season, bro.
I think everyone that's in the public Manchester United fan base, I don't know if there was anyone that was banging on the Ineos fanfare more than me.
Hey, that's the thing. You had them as your wallpaper, man.
No, okay, cool. But can we just address that?
Yeah.
I just did that as a SDS gimmick. It's never ever.
No. SDS gimmick. No. You had that as your wallpaper.
Did I have a poster on my room as well?
For a long time.
I got a poster in my room as well.
Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jim Rickler, was it Jason Wilcox?
Jason Wilcox, David Brosworth, all of them.
Yeah, crazy.
Genuinely.
That's embarrassing. You've never met them in your life?
In my life.
Never. He used to call Don Omar. That's what you say.
Oms.
He's called it Oms as well. I forgot. He's called it Oms. Yo, my boy Oms. Yeah, he got that pattern, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Jimmy. Yeah, he shot like that. I lie. Yeah, Dave. We said it.
If he's not 70. But
my boy Ash. Yeah, Ash is crazy, man.
No, they came in, by the way, obviously way before Amorim, and they were doing a strategic review of Manchester United apparently, and I'm still waiting on it. Genuinely, like no foundings were found in that strategic review.
They did a finding.
They done a whole background check, CRB check on Man United, 0 results found. They didn't set up Ten Hag, Amorim, anyone for success. I don't even know if they're really helping. I know obviously Amorim's come out and said even the unveiling of Amorim when he comes out and Dan Ashworth's wearing the turtleneck. I knew it was fucked.
Come on, at least dress up.
Turtleneck.
But my thing is with Ineos is I think like Liban is saying, they do want to succeed. I don't think it can be denied. But they are doing a very bad job of it right now. Like they are cocking up basically everything that you could cock up.
Yeah.
Like for me, last summer is when I was looking at Tuchel, De Zerbi. I think they sounded out both of those two managers. For me, you have to pull the trigger there. And whether or not that leads to Amorim or not, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a whole different timeline.
But look how much they've
but it was
bounced
a
around.
decision. This is what I'm saying.
It's frank.
And there needs to be continuity. There needs to be continuity from top to bottom in the club.
Yeah.
If you're going to now say Manchester United are too bloated as a company and they need to get rid of many jobs, right? That's obviously crazy, and that's going to lead ripples all throughout the club, and everyone's going to feel that, and that's not the right kind of move for a family club like Manchester United. But if you're being cutthroat, then let us see continuity of thought, please. Let us see not you bouncing out about Dan Ashworth or bringing him in. And like, you can't embarrass yourself by telling people you're losing you're going to lose your job, and a quarter of the whole staff at Manchester United are going to lose a job because it's too bloated of a company, and at the same time hire Dan Ashworth and wait and pay money for it, then fire him. All that money that you saved from that staff was lost in one move by doing that. So you're spitting in the face of all those staff members that were lost their job by doing that move.
Do you know what I genuinely think though? I genuinely think Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and everyone else involved, I think they generally underestimated how costly it is to run Manchester United.
Yeah,
and I think they just
losing money.
He's losing money, and I think, but I think also the fact that he's losing so much money that I don't think he saw coming. You know, I don't think he saw it coming, and that's why you're seeing all these cuts, all these little cost savings. He's cutting up other businesses off. He's selling off other businesses. He's cutting off sponsorship deals.
Nice, I think they're even looking at releasing
I think financially they're a little bit out of their depth. In my opinion, I don't think they, foresaw what was going to happen financially.
There's an example of this. Gary Neville asked him directly, "Why can't you inject your own money into this?" And I think he played it off by saying, "Oh, that's been the issue. They've been trying to throw money at this for the last 10 years." If you had the financial backing that you had, for example, the Qatari bid had, but you can throw money at anything, brother.
That's my biggest thing. Sorry, that's my biggest thing with them.
We're not financial experts, but I'm just saying from the outside.
But you say you're a United fan. You say, okay, I hear it. There's an ego element involved. You want to own Man United. You want to bring Man United 100%. To success and all that. I hear it, right? My thing is, you've kept the Glazers. You've single-handedly kept the Glazers in charge. Because the Qataris were saying it's either full ownership or nothing. So you gave the Glazers a way out when they had no way out. You've allowed them to stay, and not only that, you've taken away what could have been probably the best ownership in. Do all your political stuff. I don't really care. Don't care about could have been the best ownership in the Premier League.
100%.
And you've single-handedly blocked that. So from the get-go, and it's a bit unfair on them, from the get-go,
for his own
ego. From the get-go, I was already against you to a certain extent. But then you started hiring the right people and all that, and it makes it look nice and all that kind of stuff. But I think I agree with you 100%. I think they bit off way more they can chew. I think Jim Ratcliffe is looking at this like, if it wasn't for his ego, and if he's looking at it seriously, I think he would have message Sheikh Jassim and be like, bro, please tell me you're still in London.
100%, because I don't even think
catch up soon.
No, it's definitely an ego thing. No, 100%, it's definitely an ego thing. Because for me, the way I look at it also, I just look at the Daniel Ashworth situation. I think he thought Dan Ashworth was some sort of a football expert encyclopedia where he could just come and he had all the right answers.
And then he asked him the question, and Dan Ashworth said, yo, what do you mean? I have a system.
Because he had a software. At Brighton, at Newcastle, for England, there was a system in place. There was a software program in place where everything was built off of that system.
So instead of buying the system, he would have got that.
You know my opinion. This is an opinion. This is not something. I genuinely think this is what's gone on with Ashworth, because it doesn't make sense why you cut your losses so early.
You the guy on the laptop.
No, literally. I just genuinely think.
You waited 6 months for the guy that you
should I tell you the scenario I have in my head? Wallahi billah.
Talk to me.
It's actually a scenario I have in my head. And nothing would tell me otherwise.
Talk to me.
He got Dan Ashworth in. He just assumed that this guy would just have all the knowledge in his head. Said to me, okay, so who should we sign? Who should we get? And he just said, whoa. It don't work like that. We need a system. He said to them, we need a system. Alright, cool. Bring the system. He goes, alright, cool, but it's gonna cost 30 million to install that system and get the right people in place. It's a whole department. It's not just one person.
So Jim went like this.
Then he said, we ain't got money. And he said, no, we ain't got money for that. So he goes, what did they say on the Brighton system? What did they say on the Newcastle? What did they? You don't remember?
Ain't that your friend?
Is your friend? What, you can't find that?
Gordon?
He goes, nah, mate, it don't work like that. Oh, it don't work like that. Pack your bags again. Well, I genuinely think, obviously that's a summary, but I genuinely think that's what's gone down.
No, it is, but it is
he wanted Thomas Frank and he wanted Southgate. Thomas Frank, who at Brentford has that type of system in place. That's how they're able to sign these type of players. They're able to scout players well, sign players well on a small tiny budget, and you see the what's being produced, the product of it at Brentford, same at Brighton, same at Newcastle now. England do really well from the under 16, all the grassroots all the way up to the first team. So there is definitely system in place, but I just don't think this guy had the funds for that, and he just assumed that this guy would come with all the answers and realize, this guy just basically works off a system, and then say, okay, I don't need you then. Get off, because we're not going to get that system. So
No, it's genuinely.
Well, I genuinely believe that is what's happened.
Yeah. You know, Dan Ashraf probably doesn't have Man United on his CV. Like, you know, when you've spent such a short amount of time at a place.
Check his LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, he's probably just
because there's a gap in between Newcastle and he's gone back. He's gone back to England, by the way, because the system's there.
Yeah.
The system's
He's
there.
going to England because the system's there.
I'm telling you, bro.
And all his brethren are there.
I think he's very good at like managing the football operation.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what he was. He was someone that runs head of football operation. I don't think he's somebody that like
he ain't got the answers.
He's not like a competent at flipping PSG where he's just like he's
on the phone,
and you know he's going and he's actually going out to watch play players.
Nah, he's a micromanager. You can tell.
Yeah,
he comes and checks out. You done that? Yeah. That's the type of guy.
Yeah.
He's a great leader of like you said, a system.
Operations. Yeah.
And we're sacking people.
And we thought he was a what do you call it, a football director.
Yeah.
You know, someone that just got he's got, you know, everything clued up, and he knows all the targets, he knows the scouts, he knows the players. His phone book is long.
Nah, you know what I mean? Nah. No one rated his thing.
He's not that type.
Who should we get to replace Ten Hag? Oh, Eddie Howe.
Yeah, but
my guy was just with.
But I think do you know what it is though? No, but the thing is, I think that wasn't wrong to say. I don't think Thomas Frank, even Southgate to a degree, I understood what his plan was. We get in those coach, we then get the system in place, and then with system coupled with the manager. Hear what I'm saying? I think that was his vision. I'm not saying that's my vision, but I'm saying I think that's what his vision was. I think his vision was to implement a system that Brentford have, that Brighton have, that Newcastle have, and then have a coach who could basically, you know, work well off that system and then build something at United. I think that's what he wanted to do. My man said to him, "Yo, bro, nah, that's
not how it works."
No. What's the thing in Little Britain?
Computer says no.
Well, they told him pack your bags, bro.
I'll say this final point on Ineos.
Say all that this was meant to be 15 minutes?
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's a good one.
How long has it been? An hour, 10 minutes.
15. But that's not it. If you're still here watching, that shows that you love this conversation, for sure. But the last thing I want to say about them is that if you have got, so for example, they talk about this game model all the time.
Yeah.
This game model that you brought in, that you're going to be... So my thought process of Ineos, are they going to be recruiting for Amorim or are they recruiting for a game model?
It's been answered since our podcast.
What was the answer?
That they want to hire for multiple different systems.
So then now, with this manager, who obviously is going to be the manager for the future, who requires so much faith behind him, not behind a club going model, if you're buying into Amorim, you're buying into Roubaix. Roubaix himself is who you're buying into. You're not buying into anything else. You can't do a game model thing. You have to go in specialist for this man. And then, so if you're buying for the game model and not for the specialist, Jim Ratcliffe is saying in interviews, anything that he needs, we're going to be providing him.
Yeah.
So there is clearly a disconnect there, which is the main issue for me. And I'm going to say this.
I think you're over-highlighting that a little bit.
About what Jim Ratcliffe saying that?
Yeah, no, I think you're over-highlighting in terms of...
the game model is the difference between...
I think they can be both.
I think they can be both. That's what
I'm
saying.
I think the people who are making the game model... I'm saying the people who are making the game model...
Yeah.
Do they know what they're talking about?
Yeah, but what I'm saying, Cunha, if you look, for example, and Bremo, for example, even. Yeah. And Bremo is somebody that can play out wide. So if you wanted to play a 4-3-3 system, you can play out wide.
So they're going to do in-between players?
Yeah, in-between players. Okay. You have to. And not necessarily just because for the game model or for Amorim, it's just that you want players that can adapt to different systems. So even if, let's say, we went to revert to a 4-3-3, you have players like Cunha and Bremo that can play out wide.
That's true.
I think it's just high IQ players.
And high IQ players, but let's be honest, we play football. A very good player with high IQ can play in multiple roles. Unfortunately, we're not blessed with that in our football club.
I think that's why he loves Mount.
Players that have IQ. No, I'm saying, like Ahmad can play out wide or in the 10. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Bruno he's not
not even Bruno, the 10 and the 8.
He can do the 6, he can do the 10.
That's why I think he likes Mount, the 10, the holding as well.
You need players that are multifunctional.
Versatile
players.
Mazraoui, etc.
Even Eze, for example, that's why we're linked with Eze as well. I'm seeing Eze in I don't know how much truth is in that one, but again, he's a player that can play in the 10s. He can play out wide on the left. Do you know what I mean? No,
the players we're linked with, I'm really excited by. I'm really excited with. I just don't trust us to get it over the line because of implications of financial and all that kind of stuff.
But that was a very, very, very enjoyable conversation. Yeah. A bit more calmer.
No veins popping out in the sun.
Yeah, no veins.
Well done, boys.
I'm not sweating.
Well done, boys.
I'm not sweating, but chill out.
You're lucky.
You talk about the gym. You'll be my boxing bit. You'll be the boxing bit. Give me a second.
Boxing bit.
I'm just saying.
Don't tell after that again.
Yeah. Chill out with that, man. But thank you guys so much for watching. Tune into Abs Talk Sport. I promise you guys there will be a level of consistency on this channel. Am I telling the truth? Hussein will answer.
Nope.
Yeah, thank you, Lee, man.
We're aligned.
I appreciate you telling the truth, man. But we're gonna be trying to make sure you check out these guys. You'll see Liban on SDS all the time. You'll see Hussein on Barrow Brothers. He's also doing some unbelievable work for SDS as well. So make sure you're out there showing these guys love. I'll catch you guys next time. For now, peace, brothers. Peace.